Thank you for staying with us. It's still the Saturday Breakfast Show today with John and Helen. So now we're going into talking about the real estate segment, and we have Mr. Gbenga Fashola joining us this morning. Good morning, Gbenga.
Good morning. Good
morning. How
Ayo.
you doing?
Good morning, Fumi.
Okay, so let's just get straight into it because
Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
So a recent report says that development activity across the commercial real estate sector in Lagos has declined by 14%. I don't understand that. That's why you're here to answer, because everywhere I go, I'm seeing people building things. So but that was 14% in 2022 compared to 2021. And they said there was currency challenge, rising inflation. Please tell us more about this.
Okay, I think if you go by the predictions as of 2022, there was a pipeline of developments that were positioned to have been completed by the end of 2022. So when they say there's a 40% decline, it shows that some of those projects were not completed or they were stalled for different reasons. Most likely from industry data available. A lot of them were stalled because of funding, currency devaluation, and the general instability in the system. Another factor that contributed to that decline was is the rising cost of construction materials.
Okay.
So in the last 6 months of the last 2 quarters of 2022 was a bit tough. Cement prices were up and down. The same thing with steel rod. We saw steel go from about 380 a ton to almost 420. So that kind of impacted a lot of building developments, and then it distorted bills of quantities, and people had to sort of review their contract and ask for timelines or go back to their financiers and say, look, we had budgeted 100 million for this project, but because of the instability in building material prices, which also affected labor, prices changed, and people had to shift goalposts. That's why we had that decline. But it was not all gloom, because there were some bright sparks in the commercial asset class. So hospitality was a very, bright spark. From data available, 36% of the industry stock, were completed, and there's hope that with this new government coming in, some of those projects that were not completed last year will be finished this year, 2023. Also, the retail sector was largely impacted, because of dwindling disposable income, the currency devaluation, the general instability in the Nigerian economy. Pushed most homes or most families to just focus on their basic needs. So nobody was buying anything out of the ordinary. So it was basics first. Let's take care of food, let's take care of healthcare, let's take care of our basic amenities, pay for our power. So nobody was buying Chanel bags or doing anything that was outside of their basics. But we also have so I've talked about hospitality, I've talked about the retail sector, the office building space. We had a bit of upward swing for the Class B development. So they had like an occupancy rate of like 74%. Which was quite good. Class A sort of didn't move from where it was initially, and then we saw a lot of upward movement from Class B and Class C. And for me, the impact, the lesson from this is that developers need to look at what the market wants. The time has shifted away from when we used to build, and expect multinationals will come in, or the companies bringing for foreign direct investment to come in and take office space. That has gone.
Okay.
Post-COVID, currency devaluation, and a lot of the things that have impacted Nigeria's economy.
All right.
Developers now need to focus on building what the market wants. So if the market is demanding for grade B development, you give it to them.
Okay.
And it means that you have less occupancy and less volume.
Okay. You talked about what the market wants. Now, I don't think any month, in the last 6 months or thereabout, almost every month we hear about a building almost near completion collapsing. Would you say this is a threat to real estate?
That's a very sore point for me. Every time the building collapses, I think of the families that have lost their livelihoods. I think of the families that have lost loved ones. I think of the impact, on my profession. I think of the impact on the general overall built environment. But we can't shy away from the truth. The truth is that we are not enforcing enough. We are not keeping to standards enough, and everybody in the industry, both from the government to the practitioners to the communities to the artisans to the experts, we all need to come together and find a solution. So I'll share some data with you. As at last year, there were 62 recorded cases of building collapse in Nigeria.
Wow.
Whether they partly collapsed or total collapse, there were 62 recorded. And out of that 62, 20 happened in Lagos.
Wow.
We Kano had like 7 recorded collapse. Anambra had 5. Jigawa and Delta State were tied to 4. So those 5 states. We need to start to look at them and treat the root causes, and then take those learnings and move to other states. Now, I'm also I'm fortunate to be a member of the Building Collapse Prevention Guild. This is an industry association that is focused on regulation, monitoring, capacity building, and generally ensuring that standards are kept to in the construction industry. And throughout last year, we did a lot of advocacy. We organized work, we organized symposium, and we also developed a tool that we know has sort of reduced building collapse. So we implemented a whistleblowing policy, which allowed members to go around Lagos and other states that we partner with to look at buildings, and ensure that if you see any building under distress or the appropriate practices are not being adhered to on site, we get to report this to the authorities. All of this is self-funded by the BCPG. And because of COVID and the fact that it's self-funded is impacting our operations, we need more government support, we need more government collaboration to ensure that we are able to deliver on some of this, on this very, very noble cost to minimize building collapse to the barest minimum, and if possible, totally eliminate it, because it doesn't do anybody good. Now, a few states have been very receptive. Lagos and Ogun State, have been very receptive in trying to curb this menace. They partnered with BCPG, and they are doing a lot to ensure that we drive home this point. But like I mentioned earlier, everybody in the industry needs to come together to fight this menace. It's very sad when people lose their lives, lose their family members, lose their staff, and it's due to negligence or somebody not doing the right thing. Now, I'll also talk about the government end. In terms of regulation, Lagos State Building Control Agency, they're doing their best, but they need to enforce these codes more, and they need to work with the private sector and everybody within the industry to ensure that, we all have one motto, which is basically to minimize building collapse and stop it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about the formal retail sector of real estate in Nigeria. Can you tell us what's the state of the formal retail sector?
Like I said earlier in my opening address, it's one of the most resilient sectors, and because developers and practitioners have had to look inwards, we are seeing new changes and new direction in form of retail. So formal retail has gradually evolved into semi-formal retail, if I can use those words. So for instance, rather than have your regular malls, which are between, the largest mall in Nigeria is about 25,000 square meters, which is Jabi Lake Mall, followed by the Novari Mall. Those are your top two former retail, centers in Nigeria. Developers haven't seen the need, and this is where I go back to the market. You have to give the market what it wants. So we've seen a shift, and then local developers, local brands have taken up the space and are investing and developing in shopping centers, in retail centers that suits the needs of Nigeria. So I'm going to do a bit of free advice. So if you work with a Blanco, for instance, or a Just Right, or a Super Saver, you're basically having all your shopping needs met. You can within the same space, you can have lunch, have dinner, your groceries, do your laundry, buy fresh vegetables, buy your food, have a kids play area, So local developers are creating a need for themselves in this market, and it's interesting to watch how it will go this year again.
Okay, you meet like 10 young people, both male and female, and almost 7 of them tell you, when you ask them, what are you doing? They tell you they are in real estate. And so it comes across as that is one of the fashionable ways, an easier way to make money. Are there any challenges in real estate as we wind up this show?
Well,
the real challenges.
Even housewives have become real estate agents. That's a big issue for me, and then as well as for the industry, estate surveyors and valuers, are worried. I'm a charter surveyor, RICS. We're all worried about the fact that anybody without training, without any formal education, can just whip out a card or appropriate unto himself that is a real estate agent. Unfortunately, it's not the same, in well-developed economies. And the industry, the umbrella body, Nigerian Estate Surveyors and Valuers, has been doing a lot of campaigns, sensitization, advocacy, as well as putting in place measures to sort of weed out this unwanted or unqualified or quacks that claim to be real estate agents. One of the and the truth is that I'm also going to use this medium to encourage people, the general public, that look, if you want to do any real estate investment, if you want to make a real estate decision, you need to consult a professional.
Okay.
And the professionals in Nigeria are either members of Nigerian Estate Surveyors and Valuers, or ESRABON, or any other built environment practitioner that can refer you to an expert or a qualified person that can help you navigate your real estate decisions or desire, as the case may be.
Okay.
All
right. Thank you, Gbenga. Sadly, time is fast spent, so we can't take any more questions and says. But thank you for your time, and please know that from time to time, when we need a real estate experts, we're going to be reaching out to you to guide us and tell us what to do.
Thank you so much. I had a lot to say, but thank you for the opportunity. And it was nice having you guys.
All right.
Thank you so much. Live shows are like that. You have so much to say before you know it. The time is out. Thank you.
Thank you.
And have a lovely weekend.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me. And enjoy your weekend.
You too.
All right.
So Farah is up next, and she's talking about understanding anxiety and depression. This is one thing
anxiety and depression.
I'm interested in. Okay, so we'll just take a quick break, and Farah will join us right after.